Good morning, sir. Are you Ernest Neal?
Yes, sir.
I always knew you as Ernie Neal. You and I go back a long ways. We're both much younger, a long time ago. Same circumstance here, Mr. Neal. This plea was entered before Judge Pattison, and you're entitled to have the sentence be done by Judge Pattison if you want to. He's not available today. But if you object to me doing the sentence, we can reset it in front of Judge Pattison. Otherwise, I'll proceed. Same thing. I've read the reports and the recommendation, and the probation agent is here. And I won't be offended if you don't want me to do it. But Mr. Nossinger, do you have any objection?
No objection.
Mr. Neal, do you?
No, sir.
Very good. Thank you. All right. This is a different circumstance. That was a young woman with no prior offenses. And a relatively low blood alcohol. This was a rollover accident where you nearly croaked yourself, and you got a lot of water under the bridge. Mr. Nossinger, what would you like me to know?
Thank you, Judge. We reviewed the report, I may stand, and it is very complete. Couple things I would highlight for the court is the date of the offense, which is noted. Mr. Neal does many of the convictions listed in the criminal history. They go back, they're out of state. He does say that many of those were dismissed. Not that that isn't stated, but I think that's important to note too. I asked the court to also consider Mr. Neal's health. I think this was a waypoint for him, having spoken to him. I don't want to list the medical conditions that he suffers because this is a public forum, but I think it's obvious to the court his medical condition. And he tells me he no longer drives. Someone brought him here today, which is good. We talked about his license status. He has no inclination to ever drive again.
What is your license status?
So the state took it till December 22nd of this year. It's been almost a year since I drove to.
Yeah, all right.
Part of, yeah.
Of course, you lost your vehicle in this.
Yeah, I rode my truck, sir.
Yes.
So those are some things to consider. He is on probation with Gina Leister. That is an out-of-state probation that was transferred here before the plea, which could have resulted in a probation violation, but confident that that will not. He is active at the Eagles Club. It's noted in the report. That's where he was that day. He continues to be.
What are you on? I missed that you were on circuit court probation. What are you on probation for?
Happened about 8 years ago.
That's that 2016 conviction out of Tennessee.
Yeah, they give me 10 years probation. I've been on it 8 years now. Miss Leister said I had 2 more years to go. What it was,
well, don't tell me any more about it, but one of the conditions of your probation is you not commit any criminal act. Tennessee, I guess if they're inclined, could probably pursue a probation violation. I don't have any control over that. So if they haven't done anything by now, they probably aren't going to, but this will need to be reported to your circuit court probation agent. Do you understand?
It has been.
Okay. Does that change your mind about entering this plea?
I don't understand.
Do you still wish to continue with your plea?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Lou.
Well, that's what I'd ask the court to consider too. We talked about that beforehand. It could result, but we don't believe that it will result. What I think is most important here, Judge, is Matt does a very good job. Mr. Huff does a very good job of laying out the circumstances surrounding. We talked about the recommendation. We do think it's appropriate. We would ask the court to adopt it.
All right. Mr. Neal, anything you want to tell me?
It's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done.
Well, you had a very high blood alcohol level. You don't live very far from the Eagles Club.
Just 2 miles.
You got to get down US 12. And of
Yes,
course, you rolled your truck. Fortunately, you didn't hit somebody else. So I got the feeling that this is something you've done many times. You go to the Eagles, socialize with your friends, have some drinks, and drive home. This particular night, you drank a lot. You were a 278, which is very high, very, very high, particularly if you're drinking beer. That's a lot of beers. It's about 3.5 times the lawful limit. And so you were quite drunk and didn't really even acknowledge it. But fortunately, you didn't kill yourself. There was some confusion about how many priors you have. I go back a long ways, and I guess I have some memory of this. You got arrested for drunk driving in 1989, and then you split. It was under an ordinance. It wasn't a state case, and never came back. You never got sentenced in your 1989 drunk driving conviction. You pled guilty, but never came back. And so you were never sentenced on it. So there's a history in the file of Judge McManus saying, I'm tired, it's a quote, I'm tired of chasing this turkey around. And eventually in 2020, they just closed it. So you might even remember it, but you had a drunk driving in 89 that you just never showed up for. That might be when you went to Tennessee, and is why I haven't seen you in 30 plus years. Anyway, so that doesn't count for anything. It's 33 years old. It's certainly old. Since you got back here, you really haven't had much of anything. You had an animal dog complaint or something, but nothing really. And that happens a lot. I had an expungement hearing this morning on a guy I used to see all the time. Now he's older and he hasn't been in trouble in 20 years. But you have a bad alcohol problem. Matt is recommending that we hang some jail over your head, which means you're not going to be able to hang out with your friends at the Eagles Club. You can go in there, but you can't drink anything. And I'm not sure that you're ready to do that. Your alcohol consumption is contributing to your health problems. You've got all these other problems with your kidneys, and you're drinking enough beers to get to a 278. It's no wonder you've got kidney problems. But can you do a probation where I order that you not drink any alcohol?
It's the first time in almost 8 years that I've had any alcohol. And what it was we feed the public Christmas dinner every year.
Yes.
And December 22nd, I was out back roasting a hog for them. And everybody kept bringing me beers and shots, and I wasn't strong enough to say no at the time. But I haven't touched it in years because I'm on like 15 pills a day.
Well, that's good to know. We had a friend from the sobriety court, Tom. He started volunteering at the Eagles Club, and he liked it so much, and they liked him. I don't know. He ended up doing all kinds of stuff for him. Maybe he joined the club. You might know the guy, but he's in recovery and doing a great job. So this was the first time you drank in 8 years?
Yes, sir.
Well, you sure went off with a bang.
It's kind of ridiculous. I was there all morning. morning, it's cold outside at the roaster, and it just continuous all day.
It's a wonder you didn't get sick. All right, Dan, I guess I have a little more understanding. You put in here, due to his high level, it appears he may be unrepresenting his alcohol consumption. To achieve a 278 and remain conscious implies the presence of a tolerance to alcohol. Plus, he was drinking shots, so I guess that helps why it got to where it was. But I'm not as concerned as I was about his ability to do this probation if he has been not drinking. And you haven't anything to drink since then?
No, no, sir, I haven't.
All right, Matt, you got anything to add?
The only concern that I was particularly highlighting was his ability to get around. Obviously, he doesn't have the ability to have transportation. I spoke with Mr. Neal about essentially the alternative to a probation, and I think he wants to give this a go. He says that he does have some family in the area. I think that based on his blood alcohol content, I think it's appropriate for the court to monitor to make sure there isn't an alcohol issue going on, that Mr. Neal isn't underestimating the grip that alcohol has on him. And if he can go through those steps and prove to the court that that's the case over a short probation, I think that would be the best case for both the court, society, and Mr. Neal.
I'm having a little trouble. The report doesn't tell me, I don't think. What was this conviction up to? Was it operating while OUIL? So it's not high BAC.
No, high BAC was dismissed.
OUIL first. There's Judge Patterson's no in blue. All right, I'm gonna follow the recommendation. I'm gonna do a 12-month probation. This is, in your case, really a matter of life and death. But this was a year ago, and they didn't authorize it until August. And then they didn't serve it until
I could be incorrect, but I believe it was an issue with the complaint being filed.
so it was. Now, they have to wait for the lab report, but I'm wrong. The lab report is dated. It's harder with different drugs than with alcohol. Scroll down here. The laboratory was completed January 5th. So I don't know what took from January 5th to August 17th when the case was filed, but so you probably thought it was all over and done with.
I called over here every week to see.
Okay, well, very good. So it's well, almost a full year after the incident even occurred. So I'm gonna do a 12-month probation, 30 days jail, credit 2. Of the 32 days, 30 are deferred. So you're not gonna go to jail if you do what I ask you to do. I'm gonna have you also go to the victim impact panel. No drugs and no alcohol, substance abuse evaluation as directed. Test as directed. Fines and costs. $300 fine. This is an expensive proposition. The maximum is $500. I usually assign $300. $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, $100 screening fee, $150 attorney fee, $480 probation oversight fee, a police reimbursement,
$200.
$200 to the sheriff's department. And the victim impact panel is $32. That's a lot of money. for someone on a fixed income. $1,387. Matt has the discretion to discharge you early. I did a 12-month probation rather than 24, so he could keep you up to 12, but if you do a good job on the probation, you could be discharged after 6. I didn't do any additional time for the sentence that you never did back in 1989. I guess we'll just let that sleeping dog lie. All right, let's recap. You owe $1,387 within 1 year unless that's reduced. It's fines, cost, attorney fees, probation oversight fee, restitution, and the victim impact panel. You no longer drive, so that's something I don't need to deal with. You say you're alcohol free, so this may be a pretty easy circumstance. Just make sure that you're not going to be a danger. I'm not going to buy you from your friends at the Eagles. You can't drink there. Somebody offers you a shot or something, they're not doing you a favor because you could end up quickly doing 30 days in jail. So I expect you to comply with the terms of the probation. We'll defer any additional jail time. And this will help extend your life, I guess. So you go with Matt and he'll explain the terms of probation, and then you're free to go on about your business.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.